All schools in Little Cayman, Caymanbrack, and Grand Cayman. Homeschool students are welcome. Register now, today, tonight, online, rotarysciencefair.ky. The Rotary Central Science Fair, just around the corner, Saturday, April 13th. Rotary Central, creating hope in the world.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the terrific Thursday's edition of Talk Today, as we invite you to be a part of our conversation. It's going to be so open line until 1 o'clock, and then at 1, opportunity to talk about early childhood education in the Cayman. It's the foundation, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome. What's on your mind? Well, we can give you a couple of options to call and to share your thoughts. The 949-8837. It's working. The guys from Flow have been diligently with our team here, and that's up and running again. They said, trust but verify. Proof is in the pudding. Test it and determine for yourself. 949-8037. And also 949-6990. Then you can WhatsApp call 925-3261. It's sometimes, some days, it seems like things are impossible. And I can only imagine what it must be like for our educators, our police officers, our parliamentarians, and our parents. And those three professions are all probably in many cases parents as well. And why I say that? There are probably many of us who have raised with the work ethic and the ethos, the social consciousness that we must protect and provide. We must get up and put in the daily grind. We must go to work. We got to pay the bills, and we got to do all these things, and recognizing how life can be not just sometimes daunting and seemingly impossible. But where do we find the strength? For many, start their days with prayer. Others, it's an exercise. Some combine the two. Some, in fact, through their practices, ensure that they position their minds and their spirits in such a way that it helps them get through the day. For many, if you ask them, what time they wake up, they say after the second cup. For some, they say depending on the day, it might take 3 or 4. Why I say that is that there is a lot happening in our societies, and there are much to be concerned about, as much as we are trying to recognize the goodness and the graciousness, to be as graceful and thankful. We're challenged because it seems that there's more bad than good. There are more challenges and trials and tribulations than there are rewards and recognition. But what are you feeling? Or what is it that is, if you're not familiar with the term, let me introduce it to you. What's stuck in your craw? What is it that is really, really, really irking you today? And when you call, be mindful that I'll also ask you. Okay, we'll get you a chance to get it off your chest. We will listen. We may not necessarily be in a position to right then and there help, but there might be somebody. But we're also going to ask, well, what's good about it? Is there anything that is good? Scripture says, can anything good come from the, well, maybe sometimes we ask that same questions of ourselves, or of our countries, or of our society. Our brother always says, and those who listen can't help, and those that can help aren't listening. That may be true, but is that the problem? So let's take this thing in a path that is going to put us in a positive place, that we can do something better. We can't unring the bell. We can't rewind the hands of time. We can't undo much. But we can be prayerful and purposeful. We can be positioned as we consider what can move us forward positively. 949-8037, 949-6990. Take two things. As simple as they are, they can be significant. There's much hue and call about a minimum wage. And now that the report is out, there are many who will recognize that there are good and bad in many things. When we look at it, have we analyzed it sufficiently as a populace? Our demands on the politicians to raise the minimum wage because people need to make a decent living. We even use words like, a living wage. Well, with everything, there comes a cost. The cost to do and the cost not to. And then there's an election, not long from now. Let's take this first call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne, and how are you today?
Good afternoon to you. I'm doing well, even though some days you recognize how heavy the heart is, how, challenging it may be to step, with positivity. But you've got to be thankful, right? Because
yes, we got to be thankful, because if we listen to the world news, sometimes I have to cut it off. And here we just grumble about the real simple things that we could do something about, but we ignore it and still continue to grumble about it. And so let's all be thankful that God has opened our eyes again today to see another day. And I'm sure we had something to eat and about to eat again, and something to drink, a roof over our head, things like that. So much. It's nameless what we have to be thankful for, and God has blessed us and continue to bless us. Anyway, I'm not going to preach that any longer because you might have another caller. But I want to say congratulations to Captain Marin Sports and his employees, the crew. That I heard it on Radio Cayman, so you might know something about it. That they put out a fire at Starfish Point. And obviously, it must have been houses around, because I heard about Starfish Point, but I don't know if it is houses there. But it must have, because they were talking about when they called the fire service couldn't get through because of gates. Okay? And I know they're good at their job too. They're there when you call them. Sometimes they're even there when you don't even call them. So I would say good work, the crew of Captain Marin, and also our fire service. But I wonder though, and that bothered me. And I was trying to explain it. Was it a real gate, or not saying it wasn't? It was or it wasn't, or is it a block off from our beach access, because if you drive down Bogistan Road, some 2 beach access is blocked off with chain link gates. And then I wonder if, and they had security by it, but well, my son just went right over it and said, this is our beach access. Anyway, I wonder if the government is paying attention to this, or this kind of just go by the wayside again. Getting to another point. This is a different subject.
Yes, ma'am.
About the press briefing yesterday, I listened to it, and I heard all the committees that they have. And I heard that they had, and I'm particular interested in tourism. Dwayne, I know for a fact that some hotels pay their employees in U.S. dollars. A girl that worked at one of the bigger hotels here in this island was she was telling me, a Cayman girl, that they get paid in U.S. And she said, look at this, what am I to do with this? We were by Foster's. I'm going in there to shop, watch to see what I come back out with. And she had a couple of bags because her money was gone. Because now, all our things, all our prices, except for some duty-free stores, are in Cayman dollars. So I'm wondering, why don't the government check into all of this instead of giving these same hotels business of having their meetings, while our Caymanians and all their staff, because even the foreign staff, they have to be here, they have to pay rent, they have to eat, they have to have transportation, so they are also helping Cayman. Why don't our government check into these kind of things? Let's put it this way. Our politicians, what in the world are they doing? And you know what? Another thing, I know this for a fact. Those hotels and restaurants, some restaurants even have 18% gratuity. 18% gratuity. Well, I never heard of anybody. I know they do it in the States, but I never heard anyone refuse to pay the 18% that some other restaurants are putting. That most of it do not go to the employees. You know who it goes to? It goes back to the businesses or the hotels, and they take it and then they pay to the staff. That's not coming from the hotel. That is coming from your guests or in restaurants from those people that buy there.
Right.
These things have to be looked in, and for the tourism department or any department to write to these people that never been in tourism work, and they could say how much you got to be paid, but yet they do not know that most of these people is being paid in U.S. We have a tenant now that works for one of them hotels along the 7 Mile area. Well, most of them is. He's been paid in U.S. But the foreign people that work here are afraid to say anything or do anything because they're threatened, okay? So it's not left up to us to just keep going and going and going. The government, our representatives have to get down at these people and what they can do about it. What are they going to do about it? They want to keep the hotels open, well, then pay your staff fairly. That is what bothers me today, and it keeps on bothering me. I thought about it again last night. Every time I woke up, I was thinking about it because I have started out working in hotels from the time I was 14 years old at La Fontaine Hotel, my first job. And I went on. And Peter was working in hotels. So we both was in tourism. So I know about these things. I also manage the Islands Club and Turtle Beach. Islands Club was 5 years. Turtle Beach was 2 years. I know how these things go. You have to get committees that know about, especially tourism, to write up about what salaries people should get when they do not even know the salaries of what those people are making, which sometimes is not livable. This girl ended up telling me if it wasn't for a few of the guests that just put money in her hand, she don't know how she would make it. But now she worked in tourism for all her working life to up till the time I was talking to her. So
right.
So, Dwayne,
yes,
we need to get down at these. Every one of us need to get down at these politicians or representatives to let them do more for the working people out there and those that work, and it's hardly a livable salary. So that is what I have to say, and it was resting on my chest. Now that I put it on yours, thank you very much for listening, and you have a very good day.
And thank you too for sharing that. And with that, we'll pause. I mean, the caller has left a lot, and like she said, sometimes you share your thoughts, others can help you to, find not only a viable solution, but to recognize that you're not alone in your concerns. With that, let's just pause. When we come back, we'll talk today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Boddentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And at 1 p.m., we'll have a discussion about early childhood education. We're looking forward to that. Between now and then, there'll be some open line as we can invite you to share your thoughts. 949-8037, 949-8037. Here's another option, 949-6990. And then, of course, you can WhatsApp call. You can use your data, or you can borrow somebody else's on Wi-Fi, or maybe it's your own, Wi-Fi that you're using. That's 925-3261. But if you're going to call the WhatsApp to get through, as clearly and respectfully as I can, you have to use the WhatsApp to call. If you use a regular cell call, we can't answer that to put you on air. Is that clear, Paul? Did I clear as mud, he says? No, he said, yeah, so if you're calling us on the cell, 925-3261, if you want to get on the air, it has to be a WhatsApp call. Okay. Otherwise, 949-6990 or 949-8037. We are diligently trying to restore the 800 number. Not to say this in a way that anybody should, feel slighted, but there's very little in life that is free, right? So your parents, for instance, will do something for you. That's at a cost. The time to do the thing, whatever the financial cost may be. Maybe they had to make a phone call or ask a family member, and that might be in return for something else. So nothing is free. And you say, well, why you say that? Well, if you think about it, we've all heard there's no free lunch. Nobody, wants. So in assessing that, I had an opportunity this week. As you know, I think, and I say publicly because I really believe it, that the study of economics is one that we all should formally do. Not so much only the quantitative aspect, but the qualitative part of economics, because it affects us on a daily basis without us even recognizing it. Simple case in point. If you realize that you choose to go somewhere as opposed to going somewhere else, that's a cost. You can't be in two places at one time. Very obvious. If you choose to spend your money on something, that amount of money cannot be spent on something else. Even if you had all money, that dollar isn't the same dollar that you spend on something else. But sometimes you have to choose. And in our society, sometimes people might say, well, they find it so hard financially that they're trying to make ends meet. They got to choose, well, do I pay, to keep the lights on? Do I pay the rent or the loan so we have a space to stay? You buy food, and then even the food choices, and even buying certain things you hopefully can buy, because the cost of unhealthy purchases, they may initially, be cheaper, but what are they doing for your health? So this week, with a number of students asking, why do we always talk about this holistic approach when really and truly we're not doing that in actuality? And as I listened to the students talk, and the discussion went across all subject areas, from sociology to economics. It looked at the sort of the psychology and approach of people. It went into some of the accounting and finance in terms of the purchases and the affordability of certain things. And we had a little chat about, salaries, wages, and remuneration and the like. And many of the students were of the view that unless and until you were making a substantial sum of money, your salary is going to be insufficient for you to live a certain quality of life and to be able to, quote unquote, retire. And even if you're making, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000 a month, you need to invest so that this concept of inflation does not erode your purchasing power. And they suggested that if we were to take in a society things like healthcare and the costs associated with healthcare, housing, and education, out of their monthly, expenditures, we might be able to find that people may have more money to do other things. Now, that would leave the other issues like the cost of housing, and from a business perspective, the cost of acquiring capital. You go to the bank, you borrow to build, say, apartments to rent or to sell, or you want to start a business. How much is that costing you, and how does that translate into their profitability and this impact on the business being viable? Now, one of the adults, for want of a better term, we call that person the teacher, said, well, what you're saying sounds good, but isn't that socialism? The discussion then ensued, and one of the students, she said, well, why do we have to assign labels? The economic systems of capitalism and socialism and communism and the mixed economies, the basic economics 101, have we not advanced sufficiently? And even in the most capitalist of societies, a government is being asked to provide certain things, from policing to even housing to health care to assistance with its citizens who are at a certain age and stage in their lives, to the provision of roads, and even when those things are being paid for. So a road is built and now it's a toll to use that road. She suggested that part of the challenge is that when we talk about the greater good, it's really just lip service, and it's an unwillingness for people to appreciate that the collective, and unwillingness to make a meaningful input results in people being disadvantaged. her view was simply that you don't all have to make an equal contribution. She gave us a personal example. In her, family and extended family, there are one or two who have significant wealth because they inherited properties and they were a little bit more prudent with the investment. One or two were a little bit more, frivolous, and they wasted. And now today, they don't seem to be able to enjoy, as they've aged, some of the things that their siblings or aunts and uncles could have. Now, when something is done, you're going to be paying for something. Someone may be able to contribute only 10%. Some may be able to contribute 70%. The ability to contribute is what is key. It shouldn't necessarily always have to be equal. She then went on to ask about, taxes, and of course that don't directly play into the economy. But maybe when we come back from this quick break, I'll ask you about that. And I'll ask you to weigh in relative to this discussion we're going to be having on minimum wage. 949-8037. Give us a shout and share your thoughts.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered. Join Water Authority for the grand opening of its Cayman Brac Customer Service Office at the Avistar Building, Friday, 8 March, 10 a.m. till 12 noon. If you register for the new customer portal account or apply for piped water service, you will be entered for a chance to win a new phone or a water service gift certificate. Plus, you can meet the team and enjoy some refreshments. It all happens on Friday, 8 March, 10 a.m.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Some open line until 1 o'clock, and then we get a chance to talk about early childhood education with the president and the VP and the director of education at UCCI and one of the students. 949-8037, 949-6990. It's now open line. You can call us as well if you want on the WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. Quick comment from a listener during the break, as was message, and we were asking the question as we went into the break about the minimum wage. The comment from the listener ended with a question: who do we think will be benefiting mostly from the minimum wage increase, and how will that affect the overall cost of living? Now, the comment was, with the minimum wage going up, will we see, as some already have expected, prices increasing in order for businesses to pay? And the comment further asked the question that when we look at the quality of life and the standard of living in the country, is rapidly going down. Now, I'd not read it as I responded to the listener. I'm not sharing it as it was sent, because part of it, as the listener was saying, has a lot to do with personal experience and a level of subjectivity, and which was what the comment is, that there are some who can make $5,000 a month, and they live a lifestyle as if they were making $50,000, and there are some that may only make $1,000 a month, and they can save. Now, different reasons may contribute to that, but as this person was sharing, is it that we have found a space where no matter the sum, we have two problems. One, the lifestyle that we have adopted, and that keeping up with the Joneses mentality was what the person typed. And then secondly, our inability to appreciate the need, to budget. And the person ended by sharing that maybe part of what we need to do, not just as life skills in school about health and the like, but about teaching people how to manage their personal finances. Now, that may seem very, very simple to do and sensible. Have you tried it? Have you tried personally to take a budget? Especially when you find yourself with more, as they say, month than money, and trying to do it after the fact, but you still should. Let's take this call. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Mr. Sterling.
And to you, sir. How's it going?
Oh, not bad. I was just thinking about that thing you were talking about, the property and stuff like that. I know quite a bit about I lost a lot of documents on Caymanian history, but one of my great grandfathers was from Barbados. And I've been made to understand that you got to pay taxes, in Barbados and stuff like that. But I would like to say that sometimes we as Caymanians would say, "Oh, I'm poor," but you got to check your history to see how poor you really are, because if you know what I'm trying to say. We got relatives that leave things in the will. Our relatives can leave anything they want for us. Am I right?
And in the Cayman context, there isn't any inheritance tax, but we do know in some jurisdictions that there are ways, and I'm not a tax expert, okay, that there are ways that people find that they can pass some of their inheritance that they would to their offspring without it having to be fully taxed. I don't know all the ways, but I understand that in some jurisdictions, if you were to pay your children, certain things like for their school expenses and the like, and pass the money along that way. That can help to mitigate the amount of tax that you pay when it comes to that time to pass it. But to your point, though, you got to have something to pass on, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that because I mean I don't believe in saying too much, but there are times that you got the little fella that people look down on, and he maybe he got dirty clothes on and stuff like that, and he himself believes that he's so poor. Oh, life is so hard, and he don't know that he got relatives that is saying, well, guess what? I'm gonna leave something for that little fella. You know, I mean, it, it, it it's facts. Sometimes we lose something in life, and there's someone, a good Samaritan, you just can't believe it. They would say, well, guess what? You see all that property over there? You can control that. And all that kind of talk. So sometimes we would say, like I said, the little fella, and it ain't much people that I see walking around with dirty clothes on. But if you might say, you know, he himself might be saying, "Geez, oh boy, I tell you, boy, life is rough, boy," and he don't know. He don't even know his relatives.
Right.
And he don't know who's considering him. But like I said, blessed are those who consider the poor.
Yeah. I mean, you raise, as usual, a number of points if we will be willing to listen and engage with you. In the Cayman context, right, yes, relative to the jurisdictions, we may not pay direct taxes in terms of income, property, capital gains, inheritance, or the like. We do pay a lot of, indirect taxes, import duty, and things that we call fees. But two questions. How does that payment of these indirect taxes, the import duties and the fees, how does that translate into if it was direct taxes in other jurisdictions, right? Does it compare? Do we pay more, the same, or less? Then secondly, if we were paying direct taxes on incomes, inheritance, property, how would that affect our psyche? Would we see that as a good thing, a bad thing? Would it motivate us to want to work more, knowing that you'd be paid more? Would we find greater ways to, as they do reportedly in other jurisdictions, to circumvent, some would say, tax avoidance, not necessarily tax evasion? Paul Amount suggests a legal way of semantics. How do we do that? And then does it, as I shared, create a disincentive? Will we replace one with the other? Is there another way to achieve what we hopefully will achieve through the imposition of taxes? A phrase that I think we're all familiar with, as our parents used to share: a dollar saved is a dollar earned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whereas we, even in jurisdictions where their statistics would be reported from their economics offices, that the inflation or the CPI has gone down for that quarter, for that year, do we actually see the prices of the things that matter to us? The cost of fuel and foods, housing, education, healthcare, have those things gone down? Have they gone up? And how do we get more from what we have without it costing us more?
Well, I still think that we should refer to the Bible, and look at things from not just our own personal views, but I mean from the angle of applying wisdom, trying to be wise about what we do.
Right, I agree.
You can say to someone that shares property with you, you can say, well, let's extend the building, let's go upstairs, let's go three floors, let's go 2 floors, and the person said, no, I want to sell.
Yeah.
And then it turned right into water.
Yeah.
So I mean, but then again, I don't know what to say, but I never sold any property in my life.
You know, your last point there, right? Just prior to what you just said. If you have a property, many people might think in order to benefit from that property, you have to sell it. What if there was a way that you could take that property through some financing mechanism, whether a private entity like banks or a public-private partnership with governments or somehow, and you could build on it, rent it out, develop that property without selling and renting it out. The banks would probably tell you, well, you have the asset, but you're cash poor. You don't have the financing ability. Maybe we need to rethink this notion of how we are building wealth, ensuring generational wealth, and we're putting our people in a place where they are able to be self-sufficient. My friend, you always inspire a good thought. Respectfully, let us pause and take the news break, and we invite all to join us after as we talk about early childhood education. Join us after.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. The body of a female has been found on Prospect Point Road. The call came in around 8:22 this morning, and the police and emergency services were dispatched to the scene. Police are currently on the scene in Prospect, where the matter remains under investigation. However, police say the circumstances are not considered suspicious at this time. In regional news, former Royal Bahamas Police Force Assistant Commissioner Paul Thompson has died at the age of 96. Thompson, who was born in Trinidad and Tobago, was 23 years old when he saw an advertisement in The Guardian recruiting young men for the police force in Bahamas. He was called a hero at his 95th birthday celebration in 2022 by Police Commissioner Clayton Fernander, who also said that he was a legend and made a huge impact on many officers. Thompson was also widely regarded as the cornerstone of the Bahamian police force during his years of service and into retirement. Thompson passed away on Wednesday. That's a look at your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
HSA's Urgent Care Clinic is now open 7 days per week to serve you better. Visit our dedicated team at Urgent Care Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and weekends and public holidays, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. No appointment necessary. If you are experiencing non-life-threatening symptoms and conditions such as the cold and flu, sprains and cuts, earaches, nausea and vomiting, visit Urgent Care's walk-in clinic at the main entrance of the Georgetown Hospital, now open every day. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Guy Adonis Banks, MBE JP, 1914-2000.
A major road on Little Cayman is named after Mr. Guy Banks, who started a private school, later accepted as a government school on Little Cayman. A farmer, he also served Little Cayman as customs and immigration officer, peace officer, road supervisor, radio operator, and mail transporter. As a lookout during World War II, he braved potential danger, from enemy submarines to report to officials in Cayman Brac. In 1959, Mr. Guy was transferred to Cayman Brac. During his tenure as district commissioner, the Brac's infrastructure and services were upgraded, including the paving of the North Coast Road and construction of the Civic Center. He served as chairman of various Sister Islands boards, including the Development Control Board. Among his numerous awards are the Queen's Coronation Medal and Silver Jubilee Certificate and Medal.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. They say you learn so much if you're willing to listen. And if you ask a question with intent to understand, you might just be informed. Well, a chance to talk about education is always crucial, but early childhood education even more. And I may ask for my benefit, well, what is early childhood education and at what point is too early to start? Well, as part of the Cayman Islands Early Childhood Association, the president, we have the vice president, we have Ms. Teresa Parker, the UCCI, the director of their education program, and then a student. But first, I think they always said you should either defer to the women in the room, age before beauty, but maybe students first. Should we do that? So before we ask, our adults sort of. Well, I can't say adults because they all, except me, we're all adults in the room. Miss Isabella Richardson, good afternoon to you. Could we start with you first?
Yeah, for sure.
How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Really good.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. This is a nice place to be,
Yeah, it's very nice.
Did you enjoy the reception? Just pull our mic up a little bit to you.
Sorry.
How was the reception when you came in? The carpet was fine. It wasn't red, but it was okay.
Really nice.
And then the poured bubblies with the chocolate, that was all right as well? We apologize for the valley. We don't have that here really, Kim. Not yet. No, I joke and jest often because it's sort of, but you have an opportunity to study whatever else you want to study. Why education? Could I start with that?
That's a good question. I
do that sometimes, ask good questions.
Yeah. I'm just very passionate about working with young children. I feel like this sector is really, really important, and I think there needs to be more people looking at what we can do to change and improve early childhood education. I think children are the future of society, and we really need to step back and look at how we can help them.
All right. I'll come back to you now because I think that what I'm hearing from you, there's a passion. You're answering a calling, and we always see in our teachers there's something why, they want to take that extra training and investment and frustration and all the things that happen when you have to deal with people and do it in such a loving, caring way. It's not just about the money. Maybe as we get into the discussion, first, Ms. Nicola, as the president of the Early Childhood Association, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Set the stage for us. Why is this discussion about education, but early education? Early childhood education, why is that crucial?
Yeah, it was really important for our Cayman Islands Early Childhood Association. And for anyone who doesn't know, we've been serving the community for over 25 years. Our mandate is to advance the care and early learning experiences of young children in the Cayman Islands through, and a big part of what we do is advocacy, but also teacher education. So about 6 years ago, we partnered with the University of the West Indies to start a certificate program in early child development to offer local face-to-face educational opportunities specific to early childhood. We have a wonderful primary teacher education program here, but up until that time, we didn't have anything local and face-to-face for early childhood. And that has led to some amazing things in early childhood centers, and we have had over 5 cohorts of graduates. Izzy right here is a graduate from that program as well. But what we saw is a need to enable or provide opportunities for graduates from that program and other early childhood professionals working already in preschools in the community to elevate the status of their qualifications. And I was lucky enough to partner together with Teresa Parker at UCCI, and we wanted to offer this associate's degree program so that those teachers who wanted to elevate their qualification from a certificate to an associate's degree would have the opportunity to do that right here in the Cayman Islands.
All right, well, good segue to Ms. Parker as the director.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me back. I haven't been here for a few years, but it's always a pleasant experience. And thanks for having the informative show and inviting us. Yeah. I think that one of the most important things in the world is education. Education is the key to all problem solving. And teachers are the people who make the biggest difference in a child's life. So we want to ensure that those teachers that are with your child every day, that they are promoting actual learning, they're using the best evidence-based, research-based strategies, that they really care, that they're passionate about education. And so we're delighted to have had our new programs that were developed together with the Ministry of Education over the past 10 years. We offer in primary an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, and a postgraduate certificate as well. And now we're able to expand and offer the early childhood programs, the associate degree. So it's really fortunate that we were included by the Early Childhood Association and be able to be a part of this process.
And as you shared, you're talking about, critical thinkers, problem solvers. We want our children to develop those skill sets so as they come into the working environment, they can do that. I want to revisit that in a second because is that what's happening in the world today?
Also, the social emotional aspect is huge. And in this world, it's probably the biggest thing that children have to have skills in. So very important. Early childhood's where it starts.
Also joining us is Ms. Dolores Thompson, the Vice President for the Association. Social and emotional, Ms. Parker shared. When I was in school and the dinosaurs used to be tied up in the back so that as our pets, we talked about, team building and interpersonal skills and all those things. Are they the same words now when we're looking at social and emotional? Have we just substituted words and their semantics? And are we recognizing the importance of how that child, through team building, through play, through teaching and learning, are understanding the importance of what they're doing?
Hi, thank you. Well, we're using some of the same terminology. The concept is always the same, right? That is so important. Children have to be able to self-regulate. They have to be able to get along with others in order to advance in their learning. I think this is an exciting time to be a part of early childhood. As you may or may not know, I'm actually secondary trained and spent 33 years in the high school system. And then I just realized, wait a minute, early years is where it's at, that's where it begins. And if we really want to improve our education system, I think we have to start there. I mean, I've worked with teenagers who can't self-regulate, who don't have that social emotional control. And I'm like, no, we've got to get that embedded at a very early age, right? So that these people can function, in school, in society even, and we know how important that is early years for building good citizens.
Right. If I might ask, and inspired by the caller prior to the break where he thought we should go back to the scriptures, it talks about training up a child and we should go. I think many of us sometimes, with great respect, because I'm understanding that the more I learn, the more I realize, geez, you didn't know anything before. You got a lot more to learn. A little learning, they say, is a dangerous thing. So we seek knowledge throughout our life, and we hear, people say, be a lifelong learner. To you, back to you, Ms. Dolores, those formative years, right? So crucial. That child is learning these things. They're seeing, they're doing. That becomes their example. Those are habit forming. They make associations, and that social and emotional control at the 5-year-old, not the 15-year-old, not the 25-year-old, and even the 55-year-old. Without that self-control and regulation, we're hoping that as a person ages, that maturity and experience would give them a mindset of tolerance, acceptance, and all those things. But let's go back to literally the beginning. Those formative years, how soon do we start that instruction, and what should that look like?
Wow, that's a good question.
That's where we started with you.
Nicola's the expert, but I'm gonna answer this. Basically, from the time they're born, Dwayne, it's so important. There's something that's called serve and return, and it's about responding to your baby when they respond to you, being there for them, and that is what helps to really build their confidence. We know that from birth to 5, that is the time when the brain develops most rapidly, and this is where they're learning how to self-regulate, how to soothe, and they build those attachments which help them feel confident.
Man, you guys should just host this show. This excites me on a personal level, and even sometimes to the point where you almost feel like as much as you try as a parent, you're not getting it right. So earlier today I had a great discussion. I won't, embarrass the young man, but when you talk about how we as parents sometimes and as a society do things, is only in time do you realize that we could have did it better. With what Ms. Dolores shared, Ms. Nicola, let me ask, those 0 to 5, birth to 5, we look at the Nordic countries relative to how they approach early education. And then we look at some of us on this side of the world. Man, I want you in there reading. I want you doing your math, that quadratic equation. We want you doing that before you walk in.
Yeah, and that's referred to in the research as schoolification. So there's been this push down of teaching strategies and learning activities that are more suited to older children. It's been pushed down on younger and younger children. Now, our intentions are good. We're good in doing this. We thought earlier is better, right? We'll give them a head start. But what the research over the last 20, 30 years has been very clear about, and there's an enormous amount of evidence, that we're teaching something that children learn better later, too soon. And we're missing an opportunity to promote the kinds of things that Dolores is talking about. Young children are born into the world with two main drives: relationship, which Dolores was talking about, attachment, and exploration through play. And I think people are starting to see the value of play more. Relationship is very important to the young children, and those relationships, through that warm, responsive caregiving and those serve and return interactions, enable them to feel secure enough to play and explore their world. And they have theories all the time as they explore and interact with others, and they're constantly revising their theories of the world. And they're extraordinary learners, and I think what adults maybe have forgotten is how nature has equip them very well with what they need to be able to figure out their social and physical world. And so adults, instead of wanting to take over more than they need to be more in a position of sort of facilitate, extend, respond, delight in their discoveries, because that's what promotes their learning and understanding of the world and their well-being, which is a huge part of their learning and development.
I want to pick up on that and go back to the comment that was shared earlier. Literally talking out of class, but the idea that influence on young people, the television or media, songs or whatever they're exposed to, how that may affect them, the environment in the home, and speak to from a couple of things, that societal ethos that we may be inculcating unconsciously. In the Cayman context, in absence of a homogenous society, we have our young being raised by hired hands, as it were, and then we put them into schooling at a certain age and an expectation by us as parents. What do you mean little Johnny isn't reading the encyclopedia and know how to spell onomatopoeia? Like, can they spell it? No. So we have that expectation, and we put that pressure on our educators, our parliamentarians, our policymakers. So with that in mind, are we at a greater risk when we're looking at that sort of social and emotional control with the impact?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we've learned is children are primed in the first, particularly 3 years, for social and emotional learning, like Dolores said about the self-regulation, executive functionings, all these things, forming those positive relationships, learning how to share, learning how to interact. And so if we push down, worksheets and workbooks and those kinds of things on them, one thing we've also found in the research is we can measure their levels of cortisol in schoolified programs. And what we're finding is schoolified programs stress young children out. And the more challenging a child's home environment, the more stressed out, the higher their levels of cortisol when they're in a schoolified program. So what we're actually doing is widening the gap between the educational gap, which our very goal of doing it in the first place is to close the gap and to give children a head start. But what we're doing is we're stressing them out, and we're interfering with their pleasure of learning. I've heard parents say, oh, it's time to go to real school now. Wipe that smile off your face and get in there and start learning, And the child is looking at the adult like, what are you talking about? We love learning. And they especially love learning when they're young, and they learn through play. Yeah. And play is even in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. It's a right. It's not a luxury. It's not a reward. It's a critical means for young children to figure out their world. And without it, and we even know from animal studies as well, without opportunities to play, and we're talking about free play too, young children, we're providing, we're not giving them what they need to thrive. It's play and relationship, warm, responsive caregiving from supportive, interested adults. If we give them that, In early childhood centers, we call it facilitate, extend, support, as opposed to this schoolified correct, direct, instruct, right? And young children, it's not the way they learn. They're much better learners than that, and so they just sort of shut off, and they're stressed, and it's sad to watch. And when you talk about early childhood educators, there's a lot to know. Yeah. I've taught every age group from infants all the way through to university students. And I think the most challenging and where you need to know the most is early childhood. And yet in wider society, most people think you don't need to know anything to do it. Oh, anyone can do it, right? And it's a misconception for sure.
All right, I'm going to come back to that as well. I'm making my notes. But Ms. Parker, you want to jump in?
Oh, I just love hearing you talk about it because it's so relevant, right? Yeah. Children are little humans that kind of are. They're not blank slates, right? They're pre-programmed to do certain things like language and things like that. And it's based on developmental levels. And so if you go beyond that developmental level, they're not going to build those foundational synapses in the brain that they need to grow. So it's really interesting. I mean, I remember my daughter one time getting off the bus and telling me she was off on the wrong bus. And I said, no, you're in the right place. She said, no, I'm not. What she had done is she had constructed her world around a piece of gum stuck on the bus stair. Yeah. And so when she went up the bus and she didn't see the gum, she panicked. And then she went up a little further and didn't see the bus driver. It was a substitute bus driver. So that whole ride, she was stressed out, trying to figure out why she was on the wrong bus. Mm-hmm. But we don't often think like children anymore. We become adults and we think we know better than what it is to go back to be able to play. Also, our children are not given a lot of opportunities for imaginative play anymore. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. People became worried about putting their child outside. You become worried about them having the computer skills. We want everybody to be working on the iPad and the games so they have that eye-hand coordination and those kinds of things. So life has changed, and they need that. It's so important.
Thank you for sharing that story about your daughter. I'm sorry that experience, right? But even today, we don't appreciate how we can see, hopefully, in our elderly with Alzheimer's, dementia, and the like, to understand how they make it. But that child who is accustomed, their condition, this is what they do, with his permission, in a program that we were part of, we consciously each day remind the child about it. Some will go, well, you don't need to be telling them, but to your point, I'm glad we do, because if you remind the child, this is where you are, this is why you are here, it's not indoctrination in a negative way. You're getting the child to relax. I believe I learned better with laughter. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll work for others. You got to be serious now. Sharpen your pencils and take that smile off your face. That doesn't work for me.
Right now.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But before I come back to Ms. Richardson as a student, Mr. Doris, in the Cayman context, we can benefit from fathers and uncles and grandfathers who were seafarers and they saw the world and they came back with experiences. We can benefit from our family and friends who have traveled, who have worked in little places, and who, for themselves, are now living amongst us and they can share their experiences. Is it then that we have this almost mixed up, jumbled up sort of thing that we're not quite sure who we are and where we're going as a country? No shared ethos, but we all at the end of the day want to taste the rainbow, but nobody wants to mix the colors, if you follow what I'm saying.
Maybe.
I could be doing that sometimes.
I think it is important that we remember where we came from, right? I'm with NCBO, and I work at Miss Nadine's preschool. I'm the preschool director there. And we try to weave Cayman culture through our themes every month. And in December, we have a big focus on Cayman culture, and we do a Cayman Day. Mm-hmm. And so this past year, it was so much fun. We had Mr. Miller came out with his cat boat. And so the kids were sitting in the cat boat. We had Mrs. Zita May was there, Pedro Lazari, a couple other people. I'm sorry if I forgot some of the people who were there, but they were telling stories. They were singing songs. The kids were dancing. We had a washboard out there where they were doing that. And so it was a wonderful time for the children and, to learn about their culture. And so I think it's important, yes, we bring the good from everywhere, and I think that's really good. I think it's good that we are a mixture. I think it's good that we do have opportunities to learn from other people. I think that's wonderful. But I think, yeah, it's about mixing all of that. And at the end of the day, just really making sure our kids know what our culture is, you know? And yeah.
And it's that person who can go back generations proudly. It's that person that this is their first week in Cayman. Their parents have never seen it before. The acclimation, the integration, the ability to, you know, feel a part of the space, just like your daughter on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know, did I get on the right plane? Is this the plane to Miami? All Cayman Airways flights look alike, right? Could I then, through our educators, ask our education student, Ms. Richardson, a question I ask for everybody as we go into the break. There's a belief, well, let me actually phrase that. I heard it said once, and it was ascribed to our UK counterparts. Those who can do, those who can't teach. I find that most offensive, right? But then there's a belief that in order to compensate for that, we pay our teachers handsomely. I think our teachers are the most important and should be so attractive that we attract the brightest and the best, which is why I think the Nordic countries have a success. You just don't get into education because you can't do nothing else. You better prove your way, and you better. So with that in mind, can we buy our way out of poverty, spend our way out of recession? Can we pay our way to better education from your perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I think there's a lot, you know, the government can do, and I think just advocating for the early years amongst the public can really, like, help bring us together and come up with ways to better the community and help children in this on this island. So I would say, yeah, there's a lot more that we can do in terms of funding, you know, these ideas and concepts that will help them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And our early childhood teachers as well, because they are not paid handsomely.
No.
And they have the biggest responsibility on the island to raise the youth and our future.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think it's important, too, the research in economics, too, as, you know, large global organizations have been turning the world's attention towards early childhood. You have research on the economics of early childhood, and a guy by the name of James Heckman won the Nobel laureate for his work in investment in early childhood. And what he came up with was the Heckman curve, which is the greatest return on investing in young children by age is prenatal, and then it drops steadily down through the first 3 years and then continues down like that. And yet most countries invest in children in the exact opposite way. We're waiting until young children are older to address problems that could have been minimized or even prevented if we just invested in young children. And when I say that, I mean their care and early learning experiences, supporting their parents and valuing our early childhood educators. And remuneration is one way that larger society shows how important someone's job is. And in early childhood, that's a huge challenge. You bring up the Nordic countries. They're some of the most well-paid early childhood teachers in the world.
But they're also the ones that held held to the highest standards.
Both. Yeah.
Right?
But it's twofold, which is what we're trying to do here.
Right. So I wrote down earlier in my other notes, I thought that was just a little too academic, a little bit too serious. So, because education is supposed to be fun. I love to learn. And maybe I get in trouble because I ask too many questions, right? But certification and accountability, we want that from our doctors and our lawyers and all the other professionals. But is it, and I say this as respectful as I can, in the Cayman context, whether it's our coaches, you know, our volunteers, so just come out, we just need you to watch, or if it's our early childhood educators, assistants, whatever they're called, is it in the Cayman context? We're willing to take anybody. We're not having that standard and best practice like, say, the Nordic countries do. Well,
childcare workers here, I think it was in the recent employment survey, I think the median salary is $1,209 a month for childcare workers. And then there's also another bracket for early childhood educators. So at that salary, that's minimum wage. And how, you know, and there's a lot of things, because I don't want to say you can't attract and retain the best people, because the early childhood educators I've worked with and childcare workers on this island are such an inspiration to me. They work so hard and they're doing it because they love children, but they deserve more support from society, educational support and in-practice support, you know?
So there's the issue of the pay, but what about, and you help me to find the right word, you know, I call it certification. We want to make sure that the people that we're employing have the skill set, the piece of paper, the expertise, the experience in the Cayman context. And I liken it to the volunteer. I know part of an organization, we're happy to get an extra pair of hands. You look like you can do the job, you're a nice person. You know, it's changing, but we were glad to get that extra hand. So in the Cayman context, for the early childhood, are we ensuring that the teachers across the spectrum have that qualifications? Are they being held accountable?
I think there's two things. There's pre-service and education, which we're working on with the University of the West Indies and now UCCI, which is essential. But then there's also in-service education. The Early Childhood Care and Education Unit has done so much for supporting early childhood teachers in their professional learning. It's just the demand is so large. These early childhood teachers work so hard, and there's a lot expected of them. And the job does require sophisticated skills, and they deserve more support and work conditions and remuneration that give them a sense of well-being, because young children have a sixth sense for how their caregiver's feeling. And we want our early childhood teachers need and deserve for themselves and for the young children they care for to feel good, to not be worried. How am I going to get to work tomorrow? I can't afford a car. How am I going to put food on the table? How am I supposed to manage all the planning and observation and assessment I'm expected to do while I have this full class of children who need me? There's a lot of challenges that need to be addressed, and it's not just in the Cayman Islands, it's around the world in early childhood.
And as we go into the break, I'm inclined to say whose safety of those young people are paramount, right? All right, I think we have a call. Respect for that caller. Hang on. I'm told we scheduled a break. I had a minute and 15 seconds late, but I'm getting there. When we come back, please rejoin us.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, helping people plan for retirement is at the heart of what we do. To help improve our member experience, we would like to receive feedback from our members and employers. Send us your feedback on the overall experience and suggestions for improvements by email at pensions@chamberpension.ky or by calling 743-9125 or 745-9130. We are committed to improving member experience, which helps you make more informed decisions decisions that lead to better pension saving outcomes. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Family Resource Center celebrates the 25th anniversary of Honoring Women Month throughout March with a full calendar of events offered to honor women's accomplishments and build further awareness of the gender-specific issues affecting women and girls. Key events include their International Women's Day Gala on March 8th with keynote speaker Desiree Phillips, who will host 3 additional workshops inspired by this year's theme, #InspireInclusion, between March 10th and 13th. On March 9th, the Inspire Her Girls Conference will provide female students aged 13 to 18 years the opportunity to connect and learn from female leaders in the STEM field and other industries. The annual Color Me Purple 5K is on the 24th, where every participant will earn their own medal. Join the Family Resource Center for their full month of celebrations as they recognize this incredible milestone. To view their calendar of events and to register, visit frc.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And I know we have a couple of callers, but for those who are joining us, Ms. Nicola Williams is the president over at the Cayman Islands Early Childhood Association, her VP, but also, I guess, in a sense, a civil servant as well, kind of.
No, we're not civil servant. NCBO is not part of the civil servant.
I know that.
I was a civil servant 33 years.
Yeah, we're not going there, right? There's Dolores Thompson as VP, Ms. Therese Parker over at UCI, the director of School of Education, and another fantastic educator in making, right?
Yeah.
Mrs. Val Richardson. Ladies, we thank you for joining us for this discussion on early childhood. We do have a couple of calls. I think I ordered some chocolate, but we'll see. We'll take the calls first. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. Yeah, hello.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, welcome, man. Thank you for listening. How are you today?
Okay, Dwayne, and you?
Oh, man, I am great. And if I wasn't, I would say I am because I know I will be.
Okay, good, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. And good afternoon to you guests, too.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I hope you all are doing okay, too.
Yes, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard you say that one of the ladies said that the wages for some of the teachers is $1,200 a month.
That's the median, yeah.
For early childhood.
For childcare workers was the term, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you take out pension and health insurance, that's about $1,015 a month then.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they included when they looked at the wage survey, but it said the median for childcare workers. So I assume that would also include nannies, babysitters, and then would be assistant teachers in early childhood centers.
And non-certified.
Non-certified. So they'd said the median. I don't know if they factored in pension and health there. I'm not sure on that.
Okay, and where do you all work for the government, or are you all working at a private place?
Yeah, so the Cayman Islands Early Childhood Association is a registered not-for-profit, and then Dolores works at NCVO, which is also a registered not-for-profit. And then
I'm the director for School of Teacher Education, which is supplemented and funded in some part by the ministry through the University College of the Cayman Islands.
Okay. Well, I think the government needs to look into this and see if they're able to help you all financially. I think it's only fair for them to do so. And by them doing so, it will not only make your wages more than what you're making, but it will also encourage our young people to seek doing the same employment that you all are doing, taking care of children.
If I may,
because if the wages are too low and the cost of living in Cayman now is very high, it's going to be very discouraging to try to invite our young people into that type of work.
To attract them to routine.
I don't think that's right.
Well, one of the first steps is that we have a GEM. It's at the University College of the Cayman Islands, and it is called the School of Teacher Education. And luckily, I've been working with the Early Childhood Education Group, which consists of a lot of community members. And I'll just give a quick shout out. Erica Del Aglio is the director of Life. Literacy is for everyone, so they work with all children on the island being literate. Dr. Nicola Williams, who you've heard speak so intelligibly about early childhood. Dr. Perlin Henry from the Ministry of Education. She's the Senior Policy Advisor for Early Childhood. Ms. Dolores Thompson from NCVO, the Preschool Director. Dr. Rock, Early Intervention Unit at Ministry of Education. And then Shannon Seymour, who is the Director at the Wellness Center. So this group came together and they invited UCCI to facilitate the conversation. And so one of the things that they realized quite quickly is that the qualification really does matter. If you have the educational background to be the best teacher you know how to be, then yes, you deserve a higher amount of pay because they go hand in hand. You're earning the right to more pay in a way because you're earning those qualifications. You're going to be better at what you're doing with children. So that's something that a lot of people may not know about. We just started the program. It's brand new, less than a year old. Yeah. And we offer an associate degree, and we've made it very convenient in our planning the way that we've set it up so that you can earn a diploma, but at the same time, you're still working towards those associate credits. So you don't have to do one and then start another couple of years on another program. It overlaps. And so you're always working on the associate's degree program. And so when you're qualified, then that would be a good point in time to be offered more money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you all should talk to the premier, and I think Ms. Juliana O'Connor Conley. I think that woman has enough wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that she will be willing to help you all.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. And ladies, with that, unless there's a comment, let's take the next call. Hey, thank you for listening. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello. All right. We put the green. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello, Dwayne. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, ladies.
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's been a pleasant conversation so far. I applaud you all for the academic studies programs that you're putting in place for early childhood. And I also wanted to know if there were any plans. I know I heard one of the ladies just mention that it's still a relatively new organization, but I wanted to know if there were any plans to recognize any of our early childhood pioneer providers, now that the program is up and running. For instance, in my lifetime, in my children's early childhood, Miss Bleda, who used to live right across from where is now Cricket Square, I believe it is. We have Miss Susie Terry, Miss Janet Lawrence from Tiny Tots, Miss Evelyn Rocket from, can't remember her, but the preschool there behind the Pines, Miss Nadine's. I don't remember who started Miss Nadine's, but these are all pioneers that I consider them, in our early childhood education, and many of our Caymanians and their children went to these early childhood academic schools, those schools, preschools, and listening to you ladies, Dwayne, I'm glad you brought this topic onto the show. Listening to you ladies, I'm a parent of 3, and it wasn't until I had my son that I realized, growing up in the background that I grew up in Cayman, it was very modest, and I didn't realize until I had my son, who's my middle child, how important it is for early childhood education. As soon as, even from in the womb, I know playing music for your children, playing instrumental music, and other things that can be done. And then when children are born, and the early learning skills and the background, and see how it contributes to their brain functions and their learning abilities and so forth. And I applaud you guys for having this topic on, because it's something that the public more and more needs to be aware. We have a lot of young persons as parents, and they need to be aware of how important it is to pay attention to what happens when they're pregnant, what happens when their children are born, how they eat, how the things that they expose themselves to, the music, the chemicals in terms of, and also trying to teach their children their ABCs and numbers and so forth from a very early age, which helps them when they get into school. My son, thankfully, to the education department and Mr. Ralston Anglin, when he was education minister at the time, and Miss Susie, they were able to help me identify and recognize, the difference in learning with my son compared to my other children. And this is very important in an early childhood stage also. So I'm really glad to be listening into this program, and I hope you ladies continue. I hope people are listening will want to contribute and donate to your organization because we know government can't do everything. And hopefully it will become more and more successful as it grows. And you all have a very pleasant afternoon.
Oh, thank you. I did want to say, you mentioned, is that okay?
Yes.
You mentioned pioneers, and with our association being over 25 years old, it was a group of incredibly dedicated early childhood professionals that came together to found the association back when early childhood wasn't quite on the world stage like it is today. And so I give an enormous amount of credit to them for being so forward-thinking. There were Shauna Haylock, Rena Jefferson, Renee Barnes, Lorna Blackman. Who else did I say?
I know quite a few.
Yeah, like just amazing early. Did I say Renee Barnes, Lorna Blackman? I don't want to forget anyone. Caroline Ebanks, which leads right into Dolores talking about NCBO, because Caroline Ebanks was one of the founding members too, and has been, maybe you can talk to this, Dolores, has been with NCBO for a very long time.
Okay.
Thank you very much for highlighting that. In education is key. I think the more that we start to pay attention, the more we appreciate it. But thanks for listening.
Thanks, lady.
All right. Have a good afternoon, Ms. Dolores.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Caroline has been in it for 41 years. It's a long time. She's going to kill me for saying that. She always says, I'm getting younger.
There
and she is. She looks like she's getting younger. Honestly, she does. She's found the fountain of youth. I think working with young children keeps you young.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But NCBO, yes, was one of the pioneers in early childhood education. Way back in the 70s, if you can believe that, a very long time ago. In fact, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is
congratulations.
amazing. Yeah, so I am blessed to have joined NCBO. I feel really privileged to have work with such dedicated educators. She's been there for a while, Caroline, and many of the staff have been there for a very long time. She talked about pioneers. It was Miss Olive Miller who started up NCBO. And, one of the things that the last caller mentioned, she talked about, when her kids were younger, perhaps not knowing the right way to do things and so on. And one of the things we do at Miss Nadine's Preschool is we do parent meetings monthly and parent workshops. And Family Resource Center has partnered with us. And so part of the meeting is us talking about the school and what's going on, and the other part is a workshop that's run by Family Resource Center. Nice. And I think that is so important because children don't come with a manual, right? They certainly don't. And they're all different, and we all need support. And I think it's really important. I always say it takes a village to raise a child, and I certainly believe that. And so I think that as early years education, as we progress, we recognize the importance of, one, the certifications, the qualifications, and we also recognize the importance of involving families and empowering them so that they understand what's happening with their children and how they can best support them.
All right. Perfect. If I might, after our break, I wrote about parents, and we talk about training the educators to teach and instruct our children. But could we talk about that? I mean, I'm familiar with the program, and no matter who you are as a parent, how loving, there may be a little bit more that you can learn. So to what role is it going beyond that partnership, the home, the school, and helping the parent help the child, and maybe do what we can, not just to navigate this time, but to mitigate those cortisone levels, right? We got to pause. We got to take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before with more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
This is Cody Scott, and I work in the water and wastewater sector. I am concerned about the vulnerability of our island's freshwater resources to climate change. Less rainfall and sea level rise affect the amount and quality of our natural freshwater. Households and the agricultural sector depend on these resources, as do our wetlands and forests. Protecting our freshwater resources is a critical priority. To learn more about the climate risk to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and to Dr. Nicola, and to Mr. Loris, to Miss Parker, and Miss Richardson. Thank you all, because I think we kind of know, and we only see the consequence of how our children are affected, what we're doing at a very early age from the womb, how that impacts them in negative and positive ways. But are we doing enough? And is it because it's not immediately measurable and tangible? I share that to ask as we go into it. I talked about parents, and one of my sisters has always said, you can't be a lazy parent. You got to be involved, engaged, you got to be informed, you got to be present. But for some of us, that's just provision and protection, the roof over the head, food on the table. And I probably made that mistake in many ways, because bills were paid, and but there's more to it, right? So how do we get us as parents educated, instructed, informed, engaged, so that as we teach and nurture our children, we're actually doing it with the outcome that we want, unlike schoolification, where the opposite of what we're trying to achieve is the outcome of what we're doing. Who wants to take that one?
Well, I think Dolores just opened that conversation up, and I think it's really important that When we talk about the long-term benefits of high-quality early childhood care and education programs, the ones that are the most successful and have the greatest lifelong benefits are two-generational in focus. And so you're not just caring for the young child, you need those close relationships with the families in a partnership approach, right? And early childhood centers, we're missing a great opportunity for them to support parents more than they do. But you need to put the investment to make that happen. Dolores is talking about doing parent workshops, doing parent meetings, being more responsive to parents. And you referred to busy lifestyles. I know in the preschool centers, parents pull up, drop their child. Do you have your water bottle? Do you have your this? Do you have your that? I got to get to work. And then they come up at the end. I got to beat traffic. I got to come on. Let's go. And there aren't times for these really important, even informal conversations at pick up and drop off time, which are so key to caring for the young child. Did they eat today? Did they sleep? How well did they eat today? How much did they eat? Did they sleep? Who did they play with? And then on the parent end at drop off, even grandma's visiting or anything like this. If the teachers and parents can communicate like that, it benefits the child because home and school are their environments, and the more connected those are, the better the child's sense of well-being. They want their parents and teachers to know each other and get along, and it's a challenge, but it's worth pursuing.
I'd like to piggyback off of that because what you're talking about is so valuable, and having dinner and not taking just one-word answers from your child. But one of the things that we can offer are, I'm very practical. Anybody who knows me knows that I go practically to a solution. And we're offering things that can train parents as well as early childhood teachers or people who want to work in that landscape. We have classes for these things. So we invite you, I'm going to do an invitation. We invite you, parents, to take our Introduction to Child Development course. You can learn so much about how to interact with your child. Understanding their psychology, understanding their social emotional development, understanding strategies that can be used. I also want to invite people to ask about the associate degree. You can do that by calling 623-8224, or you can email me at tparker@ucci.edu.ky, and we'll give you the information and get you started in the early childhood program and these really wonderful quality level courses. And we'd also like to invite you to one more thing. If you want more information right away, if you come to our early childhood open house tomorrow night on the UCCI campus, it will start at 6:30. Dr. Nicola will be speaking again, and we have some other speakers as well. Izzy might be there. And so we'll be in the Cascade Room. There will be students to guide you to the Cascade Room. You just need to get to the campus and park, and we'll lead you to the event. So we invite you to all three of those.
So tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m.
Tomorrow evening at UCCI campus, 6:30 till 7:30, short.
Yeah.
Short meeting, but very informational.
See, and as I listen, I wonder sometimes as adults and parents in particular, we feel that if we don't know and asking, we're somehow weak and less than. We may take courses on other things, perhaps even to learn to cook or maybe on personal finances, but courses on parenting, I don't need that. We don't have a trouble at home. We're both professionals. Man, I don't know anybody yet who don't need help with their children. I'm glad my parents were around.
Everybody does, yeah.
So, all right. We know the invitation is there to join us after a bit, if you wish, if you want. But as we go into our news, just a couple things. I'll take the cue from him when he tells us. But what else do you want to say? Let's start with Ms. Izzy. Anything in particular before we ask more questions? What would you want to share with us?
I just want to say how incredible the program is, and Nicholas is such an amazing teacher, and Dr. Burrell is such an amazing teacher. I have learned so many things from this program. I think it's really helped shape for me what my philosophy is going forward, what do I value, what are my beliefs in terms of working with young children, and really the importance of play and what that means for their lives and how that helps their well-being, and just everything about the program is amazing. And I know it's really hard, in this day and age to try and find a career that you can make a lot of money. And for me, that was a choice I had to make a long time ago, whether I wanted to sit at a desk all day and be a secretary or follow my passion. And I'm really glad I followed my passion, because to have this course out now after so many years of not having anything for early childhood educators to get a degree, this is really amazing. It's such an exciting time to get into early childhood education. So I encourage anyone out there, living in Cayman that wants to learn more about early childhood education to consider taking this degree on. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Perfect way to go to our news break. When we come back, we can talk more. You guys want to stay around for a little extra time?
Sure.
Who feels like it?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that there won't be any chocolate in the next break, but
We're waiting.
we can imagine. All right. Another few minutes after the break. Please stay tuned.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With a look at your headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. Cabinet says at its February 20th meeting, in accordance with the Notaries Public Act, they approved the appointment of new notary publics. They are Trishelle Chalette, Samara Christie, Donna Ebanks, Katia Hines, Naoki Montoya, Zandi Moosegrove, Barbara Oosterich, and Ashley Wood. At the same meeting, Cabinet also confirmed approval granted by circulation on the 15th of February for the issuance of drafting instructions for the addition of Emancipation Day to the Public Holiday Act 2007 revision and the retention of Discovery Day. The full details of the Cabinet summary can be found at gov.ky. In regional news, the Royal Virgin Cayman Islands Police Force say they seized significant cocaine just off of the coast of the community of Hudges Creek late on Tuesday. While the exact quantities of the cocaine seized has not been disclosed, authorities said that it was the largest maritime drug bust in the history of the British Overseas Territory. The seizure took place during a coordinated operation between the RVIPF and the U.S. Customs and Border Control when they intercepted a high-speed vessel in the area. The vessel involved in the smuggling attempt is now in police custody and investigations continue. That's a look at your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
And hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And this is another, real life example of what our teachers are like, how they so willingly give of themselves. We see them digging into their personal pockets to buy supplies for the school. But here are, 3 of our educators and a budding educational student in our midst who says, let's take a couple of minutes and remind our listeners of certain things. Thank you all. At great sort of sacrifice to yourselves, missing lunch and the like.
Thank you.
But thank you. And I'm hoping a couple of things. The gentleman that called earlier and said, as I heard him ask, how are we as the politicians and the parliamentarians and the policymakers and his parents, how are we partnering with our schools to make sure that the investment, not just the buildings, not just the pay, but the actual teaching and the time and the skills are there. But I might then ask also, there are opportunities. There are open house tomorrow. There are other things. Remind us, send invitations so we can partner.
And actually, the Ministry of Education does a really great job, supporting the school. We want good teachers, and they helped create our program for primary teaching. They helped create that. We did it together. And so therefore, we have strong entry requirements, strong exit requirements. So we really try to take the very best educator and then give them what they need. And then the best educator goes out to be with the students. So I think they're a critical piece to the puzzle for sure. And they've been very helpful and instrumental in promoting the School of Teacher Education. And we need to continue that relationship. It's a really important relationship. And to look at the teachers, there's so many teachers that volunteer their time, specialists from government who come out with me and do external evaluations. They're not paid for that. They're just doing it because they want to improve the quality of teaching on island.
Yeah.
So there is a huge piece there. And early childhood, you have these community members and people in very important positions that are coming together because they just want what's best for children.
Yeah.
And so I think right there you have power right? There's power in that.
And the government, too, how much has been done in early childhood, forming the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit, which I believe was in 2012. The Cayman Islands Early Years Curriculum Framework, which is the national curriculum for early childhood, which is a very well-informed, developmentally appropriate document. You have ECAP, the Early Childhood Assistance Program. You have the Smart Start program, Baby and Me, and then you have also the new nursery in East End. So and a lot of amazing, exciting things, and a lot of progress has been made. It's just a really challenging sector, and countries around the world are all trying to figure out how best to address these challenges for young children, for the benefit of young children, but also for future society. And you were talking about, going back to the Heckman curve. For every dollar you invest in early childhood, you can expect a return anywhere from $7 to $13 in future savings in the criminal justice system, social safety net, remedial education. So the physical and mental health of our future society can best be impacted in the first 3 years of life. So it's also a lucrative, if you're talking about economics, it's a lucrative return on your investment, right? $7 to $13 down the road, right?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't take that? So it's interesting that early childhood, there's still a resistance around the world to fully commit on the part of governments, maybe because the return on investment shows up later on. It's happening, though. It is happening, which is exciting.
I know this may be more of a sort of socio-political perspective, but because that investment, 7 to 13%, I would almost joke and say that's almost as a CUC contract, but I won't do that. Is it then that we only see that down the road, or we can't measure it? It's not that thing right then and there, that new road, that new building, that new sports field, or whatever is there. But the physical health, I believe it because I heard young people say it, so it must be true. If they're educated and informed, they make better decisions. They know, eating good pays better dividends because they know. We understand that, but yet we as the adults aren't willing to invest in that. How then do we make that change? And are we talking something that is unattainable? It's too idealistic. We don't have the courage. Ms. Parker, you're there.
I think that it's very attainable. We just need to decide that that's our focus. We have to put the blinders on and say, this matters. This is what we're going to do. We're looking for this result. We need more longitudinal research studies based on it in Cayman, because we are unique here. And, we know that we have a lot of children, youth that are troubled. We know this. We see it in the news this week. So we need to do a better job by our children. And when I grew up, I'm not going to go back in the years because it's way longer than any you've mentioned. But when I grew up, my family would ask me, "What did you learn in school today?" And we didn't say nothing. We had to talk about what we learned, and we had that family time together. And kids today, they don't have that. They don't have that family situation where everybody sits down together and, we go to all fast food places and so forth. So there's been a breakdown of that all around the world. But I think that the best that we can do is to make sure we put really high quality teachers, educators in front of children.
That social dynamic that has very obviously changed, is it compounded by, going back to your example, many of us around the table have had that. Our parents would ask questions, they knew how to ask, we engaged, maybe there was a requirement on our part. But today, it seems that the mindset of parents and their children is that you're not supposed to ask. If you do, you're a helicopter parent. All these negative connotations in terms of trying to engage with a young child.
It's how we engage too, isn't it? If we ask questions that are relevant and of high interest to their world, what they're experiencing, that changes the conversation. Instead of acting like you need to respond to me, the authoritative parent, I need to understand what they are interested in, and then we can make the conversation about that.
Ms. Richardson, you want to jump in? No obligation. I just wondering if you want to, just at any point, right?
She's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm asking that is that I'm wondering if, and I want to limit it initially to Cayman society. We're seeing some behaviors that are concerning to many of us. Parents are struggling financially because of the skill sets to earn.
All parents work. Everybody's at work.
Right. We're seeing the children. Terminology borrowed from North America, the latchkey. Terminology borrowed from other jurisdictions. Now we have, inner city, this and that. And we're taking these things, but we don't see how, when extrapolated, how they impact us. We talked about play, for instance. Recent studies in the UK indicate that they don't have the parks where the children can go outside. We're all being raised in apartment-like dwellings. They play as openly discouraged. There's a sign, no play here. So we've seen these things, but what are we doing about it in the Cayman context to ensure that whatever negative consequences are being sort of experienced in these places, we don't see them here?
Well, it's getting back to the basics, there's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you do want to go back to that because there's issues of making sure you have enough to eat, that you have shelter over your head, that you have love. Those are basic needs. Love and security, food, water. If we haven't made sure, and then education's up here, it's more in the enlightenment, right. and these physiological needs and this need for security and love. If children don't have that, we can't start focusing on the education side of it, the 3 R's and so on, until we've made sure as a country that all children have their basic needs met. And if you look at neuroscience, birth to age 3, now we understand the brain much more than we ever did with PET scans and EEGs, and it's much less invasive to study the brain. And what we find is it's all about those serve and return interactions. It's all about the warm, responsive caregiving. It's all about ensuring that young babies aren't experiencing a certain amount of stress is healthy for young children because they learn how to respond to stress and recover. But too much stress we call toxic stress, and that comes from, there's a famous study called the ACEs study, Adverse Child Experiences. So things like domestic violence, violent neighborhoods, those kinds of things. You have so many ACEs, and the more ACEs a young child is exposed to, they go into a position of toxic stress, which is not in their brains are being flooded with cortisol, and it interferes with their healthy brain growth and development. So it's very important for society to intervene as soon as possible and give that family the support that they need to reduce that stress in the young child.
Well, I certainly have tried, and I would like to even do even more by inviting you to come on and have conversations with our students, with educators, with our parents, because I don't think that we are appreciative of the impact. We're expecting the police to be there and do that, the politicians to do that. Yeah, but where are we, the citizen? And are we our brother's keeper? And are we watching out for each other? Ms. Doris, I think we have a lot of work to do, Mom.
I think so, but I am encouraged.
Yeah.
You said it takes a village, right? So it takes
Yeah.
everybody to commit to it.
Yes.
Well, that is what gives us hope, right?
Yes.
And I think it's sometimes I don't feel so bad now when people say, "Oh, you're so positive and optimistic." Well, thank you. That wasn't a compliment. No, I took it as such. But that's what we want to sort of instill in our children and offer up to them. But there's a reality too, and maybe we expect too much of the politician, in that 4-year term. But maybe we're not willing to hold them accountable either. And it's us. I'm not trying to be political, but I have no apology for it because everything is political, from our homes to our offices to our schools to our churches. But it's societal, and economics play a role, right, Dr.
Yeah, and early childhood too, it's how you view it, right? Early childhood care and education, do you view it as a business and a money-making opportunity, or do you view it as a public good? And I personally view it as a public good and believe it's a collective adult responsibility, not just within countries, but globally, to ensure that young children, at least in the first 3 to 5 years, of course, ideally, but let's give them this start, because we know that it's a time when you can create lifelong resilience, so that if negative things happen later on, the child's more able to cope with them. It's the only time in life where you can create that lifelong resilience by giving them that nurturing care that they need and deserve. And so it's protective. It's not only beneficial to them in the here and now, but it's lifelong protection, that nurturing care. And there's no other opportunity like it for the rest of the child's life. And so it's just, and the world is realizing that now. It's getting out to larger society, which is, like Dolores says, so exciting.
Kind of, as you said, I'm thinking there's the myelin sheath. If we don't protect it, see that? I'm learning. Ms. Richardson, any final thoughts from you, Mom, if you wish?
I'm so grateful to be here and that we're talking about this. I'm incredibly inspired by Nicola and in awe of all these ladies and everything they do. I think early childhood education is so important, and I really hope that in the years to come, we can see a lot more from the island as a community coming together to really promote and advocate for the importance of it, because it really does affect everything, in society, in the world. So
well said.
You know what? I feel almost vindicated, almost. Miss Dolores, closing thoughts from you for today's segment only.
Okay. Well, I think it's really about that advocacy. And, you were talking about, are we doing enough? How do we know if we're doing enough? I think it's this. It's coming out and advocating for early years. It's an Early Years Association, which Nicola is the president of. I'm the vice president. And we meet monthly, and we help to train our educators. It's meeting with the parents. In fact, we have a meeting this Saturday. It's going to be at UCCI. I will be there along with Miss Caroline, and we're going to be talking about NCVO and the role we play, in early childhood education and all the other things that we do, because NCVO is a nonprofit and we, do a lot of things for the community. And so it's really important that we all get out there and we all advocate, and people are listening, right? I believe people are listening, and I am encouraged. I think this is such an exciting time to be in early years, where people are talking about the science of it, the pedagogy of it, the importance of it. And so, I think the only way is up, right? We're going up.
Yes,
it's getting better. So that's it, right? We're all moving up with this. And so,
To whom much is given, much is expected, huh?
The monthly meeting just is every second Saturday of the month, and so it's from 9 to 11 a.m. So our meeting is, as Dolores said, on this Saturday. It's important to note for any of our members who are listening, our venue has changed now to UCCI, the Cascade Room. So this Saturday, 9 to 11. And it's a wonderful presentation by Dolores and Caroline Ebanks on the amazing work NCVO has done for 50 up on 50 years in the community. So it's going to be very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope to see you all out there.
Thanks very much for coming in. Thanks,
Thank you.
Ms. Richardson, not just for joining our discussion today, but for pursuing your calling. May you have great reward and success.
There's some lucky children who are going to be taught by Izzy. I know that for a fact already. Yeah.
I wish I would start my family now. No, I better be careful. Ladies, enjoy your afternoon. With that, join us after the break for the remainder of the show. It'll be open line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have our very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Attention Cayman Brac customers, it's time to connect to pipe water and tap into savings. Save money with a lower rate than trucked water. Take advantage of a waived connection fee until the 31st of December 2024. Plus, being connected to pipe water means you don't need to buy bottled water, reducing the plastic waste at the landfill. Contact Water Authority today to access a reliable source of pure, wholesome, and affordable drinking water straight from the tap.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Every day, thousands of us use our roads.
I drive to work.
My dad drives me to school.
I make deliveries across the island.
But with every journey comes responsibility. Our actions behind the wheel can have serious consequences, so let's make a commitment to safety. The Cayman Islands government invites you to take the Safe Drivers Pledge. The pledge is our opportunity to show our dedication to creating a safer environment on our roads.
Do it for your community.
For your loved ones.
For yourself.
Let's make our roads safer together and say no more for 2024. Visit www.gov.ky/road safety for more information and to take the pledge.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Yes, down.
What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if you want to take me to task, you want to challenge something that was said in a time, whether today or otherwise, please do so. 949-8037 or 949-6990. We got open line for just the remaining minutes of today's program as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. Now, I know some of you, like my uncle, celebrated your birthday yesterday, and to Miss Isabel, happy birthday, belated as it was otherwise, and some of you will be celebrating your birthday tomorrow. Maybe I'll remember to call then. Well, early happy birthday wishes. And why I say that is because as we're reminded, nobody's promised tomorrow. And maybe sometimes we're so busy picking up our children and dropping them off. To the caller who's calling, we'll get to you momentarily. Just un momento, por favor. We'll get you on the telephone in 1 second. But with that in mind, how are we embracing each other and how are we working together? Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you? Did you get that van of yours all back on the road? How are you doing?
Still, I'm working on it one day at a time.
One day at a time, well.
Yeah, not too bad. Thankful. Mm-hmm.
It's a trial and a challenge at times, huh?
Yeah, I was listening to part of the program a while ago. With the teachers there and so forth. When I was my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. But I what Brenda said about in regards to children getting attention throughout their time with their parents. Everything's a rush, and they're not. I know, and I know for a fact they just not instilling enough into the children, and it all has started from the home. And if the parents would just find out 30 minutes every evening and deal with the children, we will be having a real excellent more than ever turnout. And all the schools across the whole island, But it's attention that helps our children today, and they're not getting it to a degree because then they got these devices in their hand. They're at the dining room table with it in their hand. They go to the restaurant, they got it in their hand. They're in the bathroom. They got in the bathroom, and they just got it everywhere. They're in the car, and mother's on phone. The child is on phone, and I'm like, what have the world become with this technology? And and making these devices teaching the children. It's not good to a degree.
But as you share, though, it's not just the child, as you said, us as the adults, the parents. We have these devices with us all the time. We take them into the bathrooms, into the shower. We got them waterproof cases. We take them on the beach with us.
Yeah, and and when they're trying to try somewhere, they'll say, "Well, go sit over there and put your tablet on." I'm like, this is the place for no child to be sitting watching a tablet. If you come in to a place to get a service and your child going to sit up in the reception area on their tablet, they're not spending no time with you, no quality time with you when you take them to the places that you go to do some sort of service for yourself or whatever case may be. I wouldn't get no more details of that. But Sterling, I was trying to listen to this what they call it, the increase in wages.
Oh, from the minimum wage thing yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't want to listen to it too much.
Okay, that's fine.
But Sterling, this thing about a livable wage, where are we going and where are we getting these words from to put them together when it comes to human beings, a living wages for the people? Can you just, is that all over the world? Is that something new or that is something that can happen or is it happening? But you don't answer me right now, baby, because I know your time is up and you can answer tomorrow if you want or when I hang up close off your thoughts with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Sterling, those people that was up there on that what do you call it now? What do you call it? Platform.
Mm-hmm.
The government people up there. I need to ask this question. I only saw Mr. Howard's name came up under him, and no one else's name came up under them. Just for us to say, well, that was Tom Jones or that was Harry. You understand? Just Mr. Howard had his name came up under him when he was talking on the screen. So we do it. But who are those people? Are they working here with our people, or are they from overseas visiting to get into this this conversation we were having yesterday? I want to ask Howard for me. Are they working here on island?
As I listening to you, kind of reflect on what you're saying. I mean, when you say working here on island, how do you mean?
Are they part of the government? Are they from another? They're from one of the financial institute that does these picks up these what do you call them? They know how to go to these places and make them work on certain things and bring it back to the government. And I'm not even sure what a word is for it.
I was trying to maybe follow you and perhaps lost what you were sharing. So just repeat it back for me again. Let me make sure I don't miss what you were saying.
I'm trying to find out the people that was on the platform yesterday.
Oh, okay.
The brief meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Howard's name came up under his.
Right. So.
The other one, there was nothing who they was.
Okay, yeah. So.
Are they part of our government? They work with the government here, or they outside from other companies, or they from overseas visiting?
Yeah. So I listened to it. I didn't watch it. I prefer radio, Mr. Howells, as the chief officer in the respective ministry, would ask come on, he would be there. Then you had the chairman of Hurlston, you had all the others, some private sector representatives, some public sector, and the individuals are all here present. And as they shared, they had consultations and discussions with various industry groups, from the chamber to the tourism association and the like, trying to figure out how do we move about. To your point with respect to the living wage or livable wage, it's probably like many things we adopt terminology. We're apt to saying a lot of things in our country without probably localizing it from that perspective, but it is something that is going to obviously hope for the cause.
Yeah. Yes. Certainly when they brought that living wage in, they know it wasn't right from the beginning. And I don't know how many years it has been now, but now they came up with a little brief meeting yesterday. Yesterday, and saying we got to go back out again into the public to do more. I guess I call it research and more discussing more to the people in regards to the minimum wage. And then we're going to say if apparently when if they do a minimum wage they'll increase, then is it no feeling? Then they will look at it another 4 years after this. Tell you where we go. What's going to happen next 4 years? What are people supposed to do?
Yeah, it's
They go to 8.75 an hour. They got to wait 4 more years for another increase. Sterling, please.
Yeah.
And it's before you say anything, Sterling, you my friend. I want to say, you know that we have a lot of small businesses in this island. Lots of small businesses. And 99.9 of them small businesses are bringing their people from their country to work in their stores. Or they're hiring from another country to work in their stores. Now they are concerned, the majority of them is concerned that if the wages were to go up, would affect them. Sterling, far as concerned, everybody's being affected now. And if people go to a restaurant work for $4.50 an hour, and depending on gratuity, that bring their salary up.
Yeah.
Don't know that gratuity need to just come off of that board because, like they saying, there's not no.
Right.
I could be wrong. No full law for it. People just taking advantage of it and using it. And there's some people don't even get anything from the gratuity at the end of their payday on their job. People make better money when they just put the individual at the table. I know that the cooks and this one and that one need to get a tip too. We're getting around, but pay the cook a decent salary, and they wouldn't have to worry about messing with the waitresses who's on the floor.
Your points obviously always raise us to think and ask questions. Before we take the final call, anything else you want to share?
4 years is too long to wait.
All right. Yep.
I'm just thinking about 8 something per hour. It's crazy. And these people are talking about they're going to have to raise their prices and raise this and raise that. Let me tell you something. We're not seeing nothing yet. That's all I have to say. We're not seeing nothing yet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thanks for taking time to call and enjoy your afternoon, okay?
Good.
All right, thanks. One final call. I thank you for sharing with us. Welcome. Yeah, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. I'm sorry, I'm watching it on TV and I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Let me pause that.
Okay.
I
Thanks.
wanted to make a few comments on the minimum wage topic.
Of course, yes, please.
Put on my glasses here.
Should I put mine on too, or no?
No, I think you're doing fine. Yeah, I don't know if anyone did a quick comparison to some of our neighbors with minimum wage, and I attended at least 2 of the meetings when the committee was going around having those meetings, and they didn't do a bad job. I don't think they did a bad job. I was disappointed by some of the turnout, and I feel our people really need to come out more to these meetings and involve themselves more in the process. But when I look at Canada, for instance, Canada's minimum wage is ranging from 14 to 16 plus Canadian dollars. I look at Florida, which is our neighbor in the U.S. Right now, their minimum wage starts at 12 U.S. and by September it'll go to 13 U.S., which at 0.84 equates to CI 1092. We have the U.K. They're going by April this year, $11.44. Well, 11 pounds and 44 cents per hour. They have 4 categories based on age and 1 for apprenticeship workers. And I think I couldn't remember. I can't remember from the press briefing yesterday. I think there could have been a bit more simplifying of the entire process and the findings and the what's going to be implemented, because I realize a lot of people still do not understand the process, and I didn't catch whether it is a phase-in program if it's going to be implemented, or whether it's a blunt drop jumping from 6 to, what is it, 8.75 they're proposing?
8.75.
Yes. So I didn't catch whether or not, like I said, it's a phase-in program, whether, they start at 50 cents increase and continue up to 5 years from now or whatever. But and looking at our neighbors, and I think someone said too that our Constitution needs to be modernized to meet some of the the international standards and so forth. I agree with that with many other issues, but that's not the topic. So I just wanted to throw those comments in there and that information that when we're looking at our neighbors, and I know people say that we haven't had an increase in a while, but I still think a lot of people, based on feedback and what I'm seeing and hearing, is that people aren't really fully understanding the ramifications, or I call it the domino effect of raising the minimum wage too high or too fast, or because now everybody's complaining that the cost of living in Cayman is already too high, but I don't think they understand. It's not a good topic for our government to have to solve, but it has to be done nevertheless. And I'm glad they came back with something. I personally think it could be workable, but I don't speak for the mass,
Right.
So, and I don't work a minimum wage position, so I don't only based on what people share with me is what I can go by. So I just wanted to show those comments out there, Dwayne, and make that contribution.
All right. Thank you so much for doing that, right?
Thank
and
you.
we can talk to you whenever you have time. Okay? All right, dear listeners, thanks very much for joining us, and invite you to be a part of our discussions come tomorrow. When you tune in, you'll see what transpiring, including a discussion on the minimum wage with the chairman and two of the members of the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee on our program. There'll be something for everyone when you join us tomorrow. But join Mr. Art in the morning for the record, and then we'll pick up with you when we see you again. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Find out about all the